I delivered Liam's lunch for a month. Quiet and withdrawn scholarship student confessed to me. Trust fund kid boyfriend jumped out from around the corner with a bunch of guys to let loose with jeers. Losers of the bet better pay up. This kid is usually noble as hell, but in the end it's not a frog in a well trying to reach the moon. The light in Liam's eyes faded a little bit, and he became dead serious again. Looking at the future grasped the social and economic lifelines of the scientific research big brother, and touching their own not yet disabled legs. I slapped my boyfriend's smiling face. This month's meals are my payment for tutoring from the big academic ace. And don't you dare try to mess it up. If 30-year-old Liam and Sophia are destined for tragedy, then let the 17-year-old you and I get reacquainted once again. Sophia, thank you for bringing me food this month. I opened my eyes from the darkness and saw the green-faced Liam holding a lunchbox. The scholarship student, who looked a bit thin and pale due to lack of nutrition, was blushing slightly at this moment. I actually like you too. My brain was still a bit dizzy and I didn't have time to reply before I heard an exaggerated laugh. Cameron scurried out from the side corner with a group of people. He strides over to me and nonchalantly wraps his arm around my shoulders, his face wearing a piercing sneer. Hey, those who lost the bet, all transfer the money to me on your own. You hear me? A few of his foxy friends let out a wail at once, cursing and glaring at Liam. The blush on Liam's face receded completely, his whitened fingertips squeezing the edge of his lunchbox hard. He seemed to understand something, but looked at me with a hint of hope. Unfortunately, I was too caught up in my own massive shock of suddenly being back in high school at the moment to respond. Instead, Cameron, all upset, stretched his leg out and kicked Liam in the face. His washed-out school uniform pants were immediately stained with a black shoe print. He also stumbled, and the lunchbox in his hand fell apart with a thud, splattering his pants leg with soup. Look at his face. Usually pretends to be not interested in anyone's noble appearance, but in the end is not seen meat and bones will drool. A frog in a well trying to reach the moon. A burst of laughter erupted from the surrounding area. Cameron was very pleased. Still a big academic ace. If you're really smart, don't think about how a campus queen like Sophia could be interested in you. How can a queen like Sophia look at you? The light in Liam's eyes disappeared a little bit and turned back to his dead look. With a jolt, I finally came back to my senses. It's no exaggeration to say that in the future, Liam is the big brother who truly holds the economic lifelines of society. Because he developed a new type of material that replaced many non-renewable energy sources at a cost 100 times the difference. This research and development results in his fame and fortune, not only among the top 10 of the world's billionaires, but also won major honors and awards. It also made him a young man with a head full of gray hair, suffering from a terminal illness, and I, too, am no better than him. Subconsciously touched his right leg, which at this time is still intact. No disability. Looking at Cameron, who is close to me and is full of shit to irritate Liam, I have a wave of revolting nausea and reflexively fling away his arm. This beast who used to be married to me for 8 years. I want to vomit when he touches me. Cameron's torrent of stinging words was interrupted by my sudden movement and asked me in surprise, "What's wrong?" I threw a slap directly into his face, making a crisp slapping sound. At this, everyone was confused, craning their necks to look at me like a dumb goose. I cursed at Cameron. You're shameless. How dare you use your classmates as bets for fun? This month's meal is my payment for trying to hire the big academic ace to tutor my homework. Don't you dare try to mess with me. These words were of course my temporary excuse. But the disgust and anger that filled my face was not a performance. When I thought of the nasty things Cameron had done to me, I really hated him. Cameron was also full of disbelief, covering his face and questioning me. "Sophia, what are you mad about?" I didn't bother with him. I reached out and yanked Liam's wrist and pulled the man away. But I didn't get far before my hand was shaken off. Liam. Don't you listen to that Cameron guy. I'll still keep bringing you food. I was a little weak when I said that. Because in my last life, I did take part in Cameron's bet with them as well. Cameron and I were childhood neighbors, and I grew up following his ass. He was so controlling that he forbade me to make other friends, and I could only play within the confines of his circle. At the time, I was so in love with him that I was naive enough to think it was love. Not only did I not resist in the slightest, but I was complacent and happy to have a jealous boyfriend. So, when Cameron and the others played games and bets, I felt bad about involving innocent classmates, but I was too embarrassed to refuse. And I thought, anyway. Several times when I saw Liam, he was alone in the corner of the cafeteria, munching on steamed buns and eating pickles, and I brought him food, all imported high-quality ingredients, all the time a big meal. It's not like he didn't take advantage of it. Many years later, I realized how cruel I was to hold such a childish idea. Liam's paper-thin self-esteem and the only time he was young and heartbroken. All of which I stepped on ruthlessly. This time, I didn't stay silent after Cameron jumped out at me like I did in my previous life, but Liam still refused to believe me anymore. With a cold face and without a word, he left me behind and headed for the cafeteria on his own. I bit my lip and chose to go after him. Today's meal spilled. I'll go to cafeteria with you. Swipe my meal card. Liam finally stops in his tracks. Sophia, you've already won. Find a new fool if you haven't had enough fun, for the rest of the way. No matter how much I apologized and explained that I would never play with Cameron's gang again, he remained silent. So it was that when we got to the cafeteria, Liam bought 2 large steamed buns, scooped up a free bowl of soup, pulled a bottle of blackened pickles out of his pocket, and sat down to start eating. That's all you eat. Although I always knew that Liam's family was in very poor condition, with only a grandmother supposedly supporting him by picking up trash, it was still a shock to see it for the first time in person. 30-year-old Liam was dying of cancer. In fact, with his wealth and status, he enjoyed the best medical care. But the doctor said that Liam's body was so poorly built that it was practically ragged. This has to do with the fact that he was malnourished since he was a child and ate rotten food every day, but also cannot be separated from the fact that he was madly devoted to experiments and stayed up late all year round and emptied his own body. Chemo treatments before he was so skinny and scary that when he wore his clothes on his body, it was as if he was hanging on a pole. Hair white half. Even back or slightly hunched up. If it is not that handsome face support, others still think it is 70 or 80 years old. At the thought of this, my heart tightened so hard that even breathing felt painful. I went straight to fight 2 meat and 2 veggies and forced them in front of Liam. You eat this first. I'll continue to bring you food tomorrow, until you're willing to forgive me. Liam's chopsticks move slightly and he raises his eyes to look at me. Without waiting for him to speak, a silhouette came over to me. It was my best friend Megan. She gave Liam a contemptuous look, but changed her face to me to a worried one. Rome, you and Cameron are having a falling out. There's no need to piss him off in such a way. Liam's mouth pulls into a sarcastic smile as he lowers his head back down. Megan chatters on with a face full of good intentions for me. You need to stay away from a jinx like that. He eats crap every day. Who knows if he could have a virus on him? If the situation does not allow, I cannot wait to be able to slap her 10 slaps. Megan's family is also a business, just not as big as Cameron's family. So Megan especially to please Cameron. More flattering me. Because the rich can't fight the powerful. Trust fund kid in front of me. This political legacy is nothing. In my last life, I was stupid enough to take Megan as my best friend. Until my dad was taken off the horse and the family fell. She turned her head and climbed into Cameron's bed to sneer at me. So what if you're a missy? Still not a trash who goes out and sleeps with the girls. Seeing this disgusting scene, the most painful place in my heart someone else dug up alive to rub salt, I couldn't bear to be alive. And jumped straight out of the window. Right leg is so crippled. It was also picked up by Liam as a result. How did you know Cameron and I were fighting and you got under his bed to eavesdrop? Also, I delivered Liam's meals for a month, and when you said he picked up garbage to eat, you were mocking my meals as garbage. Megan was dumbfounded and her face went red. Rome, how can you say that to me? It's not all for your own good. I'm anxious to see Cameron sad and uncomfortable because of you. Oh, for my own good is fake. But being heartbroken for Cameron is real. Otherwise, she wouldn't have conspired with Cameron to send me to someone else's bed in exchange for benefits. Sophia's family is down. That's all she's worth. The day I jumped, it was another wine dinner. I was like a commodity, not knowing who Cameron was going to pack up and give it to, and Liam, being the most revered and sought-after guest of honor at that party, took me away from me, and no one dared to say otherwise. And I didn't feel all that happy about it. At the time, all I remembered of him was the impoverished big academic ace from high school who was always walking slowly alone in the shadows. And the bet that had long since dissipated into the wind. As for that month's meals, they were all cooked by the family nanny. Only in the middle because of the aunt temporarily something leave. I had no choice but to cook by myself. Made 3 meals: fried battered scrambled eggs with rice. After being taken away by Liam, he found the best doctor to cure my leg. It's just a disability. And it's already a miracle cure. I was supposed to be paralyzed for life. The recovery period is very long. Liam directly left me in his home. Liam's residence can no longer be described as a villa. Should be said to be a mansion area. 1,000 square meters. All his territory. But Liam's range of activities never leaves the study and bedroom of a few dozen square meters. Nor does he interact with people. Except for consulting calls he had to take because of technical problems. Sometimes when I look at him, it's like traveling back in time to see that teenager in high school who always kept his head down and was all alone. A desk, the corner of the cafeteria, the shadows under the trees, that's all the places he inhabited. I used to think that Liam, the genius researcher, the one who stood at the top of the pyramid of fame and fortune, was just like those moralistic bullshit officials and businessmen, who couldn't escape the word sex. But as I stayed day by day, he never asked for me. Then I was the first to hold my breath and ask what I could do. Why don't you make me a bowl of scrambled eggs with rice? I laughed bitterly. Turns out, he never forgot the humiliation he suffered in high school. That bet, that young heart that was ridiculed so recklessly, has finally become a hurdle that Liam can't get past. Right now, whether it's cooking or doing anything, he can finally order me around. He can finally order me directly. Scrambled eggs with rice is still mushy. My cooking has never improved, or had a chance to. For the first 25 years of my life, I was a precious young lady, a princess that Cameron licked and pampered. After the fall, I fell straight from heaven to hell. My dad went in. My mom couldn't handle the shock and had a brain hemorrhage. On the contrary, Cameron just lost a large amount of money to go out to dredge up relations. The whole body retreated. However, you should know that my dad was originally an uncorrupted person because after Cameron and I got married, he repeatedly mentioned that he wanted to expand his family's business and begged his father-in-law to help him. I'm another dumbass who was brainwashed by Cameron's family and complained that my dad was insensitive and refused to help even his own daughter and son-in-law. Even listened to Cameron's idea of threatening to sever the relationship. In the end, he pulled his family and himself into the abyss. Liam ate scrambled eggs with rice one bite at a time, even scraping the sticky grease from the bottom of the plate. A single tear fell from my eye onto the back of my hand. "I'm sorry, Liam. I'm sorry." He didn't say anything, pulling my hand over and looking at it, sighing. Then got up and brought a Band-Aid, carefully applying it to my cut. Suddenly, without a word, he said, "Sophia, you know what? After eating so many big meals, my favorite is scrambled eggs with rice." Then later, he received a few chemo treatments, gradually could not eat, and was maintained by fluids every day. One day he suddenly said he wanted to have another bite of my scrambled eggs with rice, and I said yes. But when I brought out the scrambled eggs with rice, I realized that Liam had quietly left. The lawyer came and said he had written all the inheritance to me. A few days later, I downed a whole bottle of sleeping pills. I didn't mean it. I was just so tired that I counted the wrong amount. When I came back to my senses, I was still sitting in the noisy cafeteria. Tears had long been streaming down my face. Panic and concern were clearly flashing in Liam's eyes. He raised his arm quickly for a moment and then pressed it back down raw. "Liam, how about tomorrow I bring you scrambled eggs with rice?" He froze, his eyes flashing. For once, there wasn't a flat refusal. "Tomorrow's Saturday." I broke into a smile. "Then I'll just come to your house." Liam blanched. "My house is shitty. You wouldn't want to come." "Never mind. Whatever." It was as if he'd made up his mind about something. Probably thinking that by dissecting the most wretched side of me, I'd back down. He was wrong, though. "It's settled then. Tomorrow at 12 noon. Wait for me." The next day I arrived as promised. Liam was already standing in the doorway, a smirk flashing across his face as he saw me running from afar. The next second, the roar behind me came from far and near, and finally turned into a piercing emergency brake. I turned back and saw a string of slutty-colored convertible sports cars parked in a row. Cameron and a large group of familiar I trust fund kids in the circle all stared at Liam and I with a cheeky grin. "Holy crap. It stinks in here, MS. Sue, you're awesome. You don't have to be so desperate to play with someone, right? Liam, isn't this guy a poor guy who receives welfare benefits and grants? Report him for puppy love. Will he be penalized?" The sports cars stood out in the midst of the broken houses with peeling walls and piles of junk. They blocked the narrow road, but the people coming and going didn't dare to speak at all, just bending their heads down and sticking to the roots of the wall and walking silently. A huge disappointment and embarrassment surfaced in Liam's eyes. "Did you tell them to come here to see me laugh?" "It wasn't me. It must have been Megan who snitched. It was Cameron who followed me here." But Liam was no longer willing to listen to any explanations. The face, only 17 years old, showed deep indifference and wariness. "Sophia, don't you ever come near me again. Count on it. I beg you. Leave me alone." Liam seemed to have made up his mind and resolutely flung the door shut, barring me from the door. I stared blankly at the scrambled eggs with rice in my hand this time. He still didn't eat it. Cameron called out behind me, Rong, get in the car." I turned around and walked towards him step by step. Cameron hadn't realized that something was wrong and was full of fake care. "What are you suffering here on such a hot day? It hurts me to watch." I lifted the lid of my lunchbox and stormed the entire bowl of scrambled eggs with rice right over his head. This image has played out in my mind 1,000 times long ago. It's just a shame I didn't have any qualifications to do it to him in my last life. There was a chorus of "holy crap," whistles and laughter. And Cameron's face turned darker than the bottom of an old pot. Cameron's face became darker than a stale pot. He was not considered a boss in this group of trust fund kids, and not every one of those dudes gave him face. "Cameron, are you good or not? Didn't you say Sophia is your girlfriend? You fucking bragging right?" I remembered that at this point in time, I had only just agreed to Cameron's pursuit for less than 2 months. Sophia, what the hell is your tantrum? Cameron desperately suppressed his anger and squeezed these words out from between his teeth. Oh. It's true that he wouldn't dare to do anything to me if my father's position was still intact. I'm not losing my temper. I'm just teaching scum like you a lesson for my classmates. You can casually make fun of Liam and trample on other people's self-esteem. So isn't it possible to do the same to me one day? Drawing on my past hatred and resentment, I unreservedly vented at him. Cameron was dumbfounded by my scolding. Roan, where did you think of that? If I do something bad to you, I shall not die. My cursing stopped at once. In my last life when I died, Cameron should still be alive and well. No retribution at all. But not this time. I'll make sure he doesn't die. Anyway, I can kind of see your face. I swept my eyes at the people beside me who had been watching. Who is convenient to give me a ride home? Several people scrambled to raise their hands. In my heart, I chose the trust fund kid who had been secretly fighting with Cameron amidst everyone's uproar. And sure enough, as soon as I got into the passenger seat, Cameron glared next to me, his eyes on the verge of erupting into flames. I did this so that I could temporarily divert his attention and anger from staring at Liam. Liam, this time, it's my turn to guard you. When I got to school on Monday, I had the cheek to act as if nothing had happened and stop Liam at the classroom door. Don't go to cafeteria. I've brought food. Just eat at your desk. How nice to save the 20 minutes of walking back and forth to take a break from chatting. Liam sneered silently. His arm flinched, dodging my hand as I went to pull him in, resistance written all over his body. Sophia. I'll go on a hunger strike if you don't let me go to cafeteria. If you want to drive me to death, bring me food every day. For a moment, I was a little exasperated by Liam. This stubborn bastard. I had a plan and was going to take a gamble. Putting my lunchbox on his table, I sat down on my butt. Fine. I'll follow you in your hunger strike. To die together. You. Liam frowned, suddenly losing his temper. It worked, and I picked up where I left off, opening the lid of the box. I made scrambled eggs with rice. Yo. It smells so good. Are you sure you don't want to try a bite? Thanks to my hard work and practice, today's scrambled eggs with rice was not burnt, and it was a delight. This is his favorite scrambled eggs with rice. Even the previous failures were so unpalatable, he could eat it with a cherished look. This time, I fried it so successfully, want I charm him to death. However, Liam's eyes swept and his coldness became heavier. I'm sorry. I hate scrambled eggs with rice. Cheating. I got up half an hour early in the morning to make these, just so I could try to get you to eat them fresh. Liam spends his days either eating steamed buns, pickles, or things that are several nights old. It's not good for your health. Liam picks up a spoon and takes a bite, a sneer curling up the corner of his mouth. It's really delicious. Ah, Miss Sue, you really bring me food every day from now on. I nodded my head in a hurry. Liam said yes, and then reported the names of a few dishes that sounded familiar. It seems like what my house sitter was good at cooking before. What's good about scrambled eggs with rice? You bring me some tomorrow. I am humanly stupid. As far as my cooking skills are concerned, today's big scrambled eggs with rice is over the top. Those complicated dishes. How can I cook them? Seeing my silence, Liam's eyes flashed with mockery. Is this hard for Miss Sue? Haven't you already served me meals for a month? I quickly shut my mouth to withdraw the idea of bargaining. I couldn't say that Auntie made those delicious and hearty meals even if I was beaten to death. That wouldn't be an added confirmation of my bad behavior of following Cameron around and toying with him. Big deal. I'll go back tonight and start preparing the ingredients and keep trying. I want sleep if I can't do it right. Okay. I agreed. Gritting my teeth, Liam then sat down slowly, mechanically shoveling scrambled eggs with rice into his mouth one bite at a time, only this time he ate it so fast that it was all gone in less than 5 minutes. I've eaten my rice. You can go now. I wanted to talk to him for a while longer, but I was given my expulsion order. Today is only the first day. I think it's better not to push him too hard. Anyway, the days are still long. Take your time. The next day, I brought a stack of lunchboxes to Liam, who was still expressionless, but his face changed when he saw my hand full of band-aids. What happened to your hand? I subconsciously hid it. Nothing. You eat first. However, today's dish sells just a little bit ferocious. Despite the fact that I've asked my aunt for advice, it's just not very talented. Liam moves his fingers, looking like he wants to grab over my hand and check it out. But eventually he picked up his chopsticks and took a bite into his mouth. In the next second, his eyebrows twisted for a split second, and he quickly regained his composure. Unfortunately, it wasn't hidden from me who had been staring at his face. I'm sorry, isn't it too hard to eat? As I said that, a wave of aggravation also rose in my heart. These dishes are difficult and time-consuming to make. Last night I studied hard for a few hours, and this morning I woke up an hour early to make them. Even with my aunt's help in preparing the dishes, I was tossed around a lot. Liam continuously pinched several chopsticks and tasted every dish. Liam tasted every dish in a row, and his expression was a bit odd. Did you really make all this yourself? Including yesterday's scrambled eggs with rice. My heart was in a panic. It couldn't be that the difference between what my aunt made was too great, causing him to be suspicious. Right. I'm just not in the best shape lately. You give me a few more days to practice. I'm sure it'll turn out good. Liam lowers his head slightly and I seem to see a flash of laughter in his eyes. I was just kidding yesterday. It's such a waste of time to make these dishes. You should just keep delivering scrambled eggs with rice from now on. Scrambled eggs with rice is my favorite. What the hell? He can't be playing with me. In anger, I subconsciously punched his arm. After the punch, both of them froze at the same time. Maybe Liam was surprised at my rudeness, my crossing the line. And I was surprised that this habitual action of pampering, I have not done for 5 whole years. After my father went to jail, my mother went crazy, my husband defected. I completely lost the object that can be pampered. Back to 17 years old, I do not know if it is because the body still retains the habitual memory. I also don't know if it's because the simple and clean campus. It's happy family. Let the scarred 30-year-old Sophia get some relaxation and healing. I looked deeply at Liam, afraid that in the blink of an eye, he would change. His green hair turned white, his straight back was bent, and his clear eyes became dead and sad. Tears burst apart like pearls on a broken string, and Liam panicked. I didn't say you made it hard to eat. Whatever you make, I love it all. I'm not picky. Don't cry. Sophia, don't cry. He finally peeks over and reaches out, dropping his hand in front of my eyes. A feather-light touch, and my teardrops stained his fingertips. From that day on, Liam and I finally got into a relatively normal pattern of getting along. It wasn't that there was talking and laughing and a joyful atmosphere. It was just a little better than before. This was evidenced by the fact that Liam dutifully ate all of his meals every day. He no longer has a cold face when I talk, and every now and then a monosyllabic or o will pop up. However, I don't feel bored at all, nor do I find him uninteresting. After all, in my last life, what kind of sweet words, flowery words, and even brainless bragging, I have not heard. Waiting for me to be down and out. Which one came over which even shushing a word? Those who are afraid of being involved in the busy to avoid far away. Not bad. There's a lot of people who are just looking for a joke. Liam was different. He picked me up and brought me home, but he didn't say much. But just by looking at his back, I felt relieved. Even my nightmares were fewer. Unfortunately, after only a month of such peaceful days, I was suddenly called into the office alone by the homeroom teacher. "Sophia, I heard that you're in puppy love with Liam. Who's first in the grade?" The homeroom teacher's expression was serious, but her attitude was quite gentle. After all, she also knew my father's identity. My heart fluttered. It's not a secret that I go to Liam's class every day to look for him and have lunch with him. But no one would be bored enough to go to the teacher and tell him off, no matter how much people gossiped and talked about it in private. So I guess that it mostly had to do with Cameron or Megan again. Mrs. Williams. Which student was so bored to spread rumors? The homeroom teacher choked on my nototalpanic attitude and blushed a bit. No matter who said it, the teacher will safeguard the privacy of the other party, and also has the responsibility and obligation to come to you to investigate clearly. I shrugged my shoulders indifferently and flatly denied it. The homeroom teacher held up her glasses, her tone taking on some sense of oppression. "Sophia, your family situation teacher knows that your life is vast and all roads lead to Rome. But have you ever considered for Liam?" I put away the smile on my face. "He's a scholarship student, and there's only one way out of the college entrance exams. It's about to be senior year. You're disturbing others every day like this, getting into a puppy love fiasco. What if you bring Liam's mind astray and cause him to slip in his studies and fail in the college entrance exams?" Seeing that I didn't say anything, the homeroom teacher seemed to feel that she had me in her grasp, and directly asked me not to have any close contact with Liam in the future. "I haven't told your parents about this, and you don't want them to get angry when they find out, or even mistakenly think that Liam's classmates deliberately brought down their own daughters, right?" A fire rose up inside me, burning hotter and hotter. I don't know what's wrong, but everyone in this world seems to be against me. One by one, I wasn't allowed to get close to Liam, and I wasn't allowed to be nice to Liam. From a poor academic ace from the grassroots to a scientific research leader in charge of the economy, everyone takes it for granted that I'm not allowed to be close to Liam. Everyone took it for granted that Liam was a legend, a god. God seems to be lonely, is not need to be understood, is deserved to be polished by the wind, rain and snow. But the Liam I saw in my eyes was just an ordinary boy. He blushes too, and his heart flutters, and he needs companionship and love. Mrs. Williams, didn't I tell you? I didn't have any Liam puppy love with Liam puppy. You're ruining two pure classmate friendships by just rashly putting big hats on us, aren't you? The homeroom teacher's face was a little hard to bear, and she said it was useless for me to be more sophomoric. Delivering food every day, waiting for someone to walk together after school. What is this if not a budding love affair? I laughed. Of course it's remedial classes. My dad said that if you're not the top of the grade, you're not qualified to tutor me. I was going to pay Liam directly, but he wouldn't take it no matter what, and my parents were really over it, so they let me bring the food. I cocked my head, deliberately wearing a puzzled expression. Liam eats pickles every day. His nutrition can't keep up. What if his body messes up and delays his studies? Teacher, it'll bring Liam nutritious meals every day, and maybe it'll even help our school cultivate a top student in the province. Who in the world is so mean-spirited that they can't see Liam and I doing well, and they can't see the school doing well either? The homeroom teacher stared wide-eyed, dumbfounded by my words. I, on the contrary, was getting more and more energized. Every day we eat together, go to the restroom together, go to and from school together, more classmates. Whose heart is so dirty? See who is puppy love. Did Liam and I hold hands? Did we hug? Did we kiss? I bristled. Nothing was planted as puppy love can be really wrong. There was a thud at the door. I subconsciously turned my head to find Liam gasping for air and bracing himself against the door. His face flushed. When I looked over, He blinked and looked away somewhat unnaturally. Now my face burned a little too. When did he come? He couldn't have heard my words. Could he? Gosh. This is embarrassing. Ahem. Mrs. Williams. The first heard my classmates talking about it, so I wanted to come over and clarify. Sophia and I don't have puppy love. The homeroom teacher wearily took off her glasses and pinched her brow, waving her hands somewhat helplessly. Okay. I took a chance with today, and got antsy when I got the anonymous tip. Mainly both of you are good kids. The teacher is also worried that you've gone astray. Seeing that the homeroom teacher had given herself a step down, I didn't get aggressive and said a few soft words along the way. Walking out of the office side by side with Liam, he gave me a thank you. But don't worry, I've lost a bit of weight, but am still in pretty good shape. It seems that he came at me when I said the line about eating pickles every day. However, his words were simply farting around. I've seen him in his 30s. At an age when he should be at his most accomplished and spirited, the man is just a skeleton in the closet. Even before he was diagnosed with cancer, he had a very small appetite. What he ate every day was not as much as a cat. Even so, he still worked tirelessly. Sometimes I felt that he had no expectation or joy in living. It seemed that to drain himself and return to the earth was the only way to be free. Moreover, when he brought me home at that time, he didn't show any need in that area. I always thought it was because he didn't have that kind of mind. But now I suddenly thought of another possibility. Could it be that, once this thought rose, my eyes drifted uncontrollably toward his lower body? Perhaps the sight was too blunt, Liam quickly noticed. After freezing for a moment, his face exploded red. Sophia, there's nothing wrong with me there. I couldn't help but laugh. Liam got anxious and reached out to grab my wrist. You don't believe me? Then see for yourself. No. I mean, it was the first time I'd seen a look on Liam's face that was different from the cold numbness. I saw a Liam who could be annoyed, stutter, and be anxious. At this moment, he was so vivid. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. I laughed out loud. Laughing painfully. I made a face at him. I only look at my boyfriends. What? You want to be my boyfriend? Just say it. Liam rushed left and right, trying to cover my mouth. I shook him off and ran forward, Liam chasing after me. Luckily, the hallway was a dark corridor, so no one saw us. I stopped suddenly and turned around. Liam was so unprepared that he couldn't break in time and just ran into me. I fell into his thin but broad chest. His arms and legs scrambled to hold me. Liam, can we do this from now on? You need to stop being slow, lonely, and walking alone. And I'll stop being stupid and falling forlornly. You'll run to me, and I'll greet you. After I was all over the homeroom teacher's side, I told Mom and Dad about Liam. Instead of not knowing that one day I will be poked in the back again, I would rather explain myself first in a big way. The winter vacation came and went, and then the school year started. And I officially entered my senior year of high school. My mom called out to me downstairs, "Rong Rong, Cameron is here to play with you." When she saw me peeking out from the second-floor escalator, Cameron quickly waved at me. In the next second, his smile froze. Liam, what are you doing at Rong's house? Liam stood to his side to be alongside me, his tone light. I'm here to tutor Sophia. Cameron blushes and tells him he can go. Sophia's going out with us today. Rong. Megan and the guys said they haven't gotten together with you in a while and told me I had to ask you out today. I didn't tell Cameron that Liam is staying at my house this winter break. I was afraid that he wouldn't be able to handle the news and get upside down here. I had a hard time convincing Liam that he lived so far away from my house that he would be delayed for more than 2 hours every day going back and forth. I was heartbroken. For this reason, I even brought Liam's grandmother over, and by the way, I checked his health and prescribed a bunch of medicines and supplements. My mom sensed that the old lad's consternation and embarrassment, and made special excuses to arrange easy work for her. And also paid her salary. The little old lady was so grateful that she almost fell on her knees, wishing Liam would sign a contract of sale to my family. I propped my chin up and teasingly looked down at Cameron. Megan asked me to play. Haha. Do you realize she hates me? Cameron was confused, saying, what does she hate me for? Because she likes you. Of course. I heard it with my own ears. She called me a trash who doesn't deserve you at all, and said that you're only pleasing me for my dad's sake. Is that right, Cameron? Cameron blushed a shade of green and red. It was chagrin and exasperation at my words. Having only just turned 18, he hadn't yet learned the old stoicism and scheming of a 30-year-old. Is she nuts? Usually pretending to be quite honest, but behind my back she's actually chewing on me like this. Wrong. You mustn't listen to her. I pouted, purposely showing a difficult face, saying that Megan was still a friend she introduced me to. You also know I'm very stupid and naive, pouring my heart out to treat her as a good best friend, but it turned out to be so duplicitous. It's really horrible. Looking at Cameron's fickle face, I knew that was right. Megan usually loves to snitch on him, and Cameron didn't mind before because he could get a hold of all my movements with the information and then stop me from making new friends in time to trap me in his world forever. And your foxy friends, always messaging me and harassing me and talking about having a little fun with them, even if you knew, there's nothing you can do about them. They're worse than animals. They'll never play with this bunch of trash again, although these words are false. But also true. Cameron's eyes reddened as he listened to these words, and he let out a foul mouth in a low voice. Damn. Roan, you believe me. I will make them look good. Outside the villa, the sound of a sports car roaring exploded and stung. It was obvious that Cameron had indeed been provoked into a rage. My dad walked out and shook his head at the window. This kid from the Shaw family is too crazy. Street racing in the middle of the day. He just got his license. Right. I snorted in my mind. What is this? When he didn't have a license. He dared to drive without a license. He even got into a street racing accident, only for his family to pay for it. When my dad saw Liam, he revealed a smiling face. Okay. Wrong. You'd better be at ease with Xiao Luo and study at home. Don't go out with Cameron all the time. My mom walked over with a plate of fruit and lightly bumped his shoulder. You've been studying for hours. Come down and eat something to rest for a while. Liam, don't be like your Uncle Sue and work like hell. Liam nodded his head and said yes. Shy but big heart. He took a few steps forward, then turned back to wait for me. Why don't you go? My eyes moistened slightly. Without realizing it, Liam seemed to have changed. He no longer looks like a scorched leaf that crumbles at the slightest touch. He was now full of fresh life. That night, something happened to Cameron. In the early hours of the morning, the lights suddenly came on in the villa next door, followed by the movement of the Shaw family's parents hurriedly driving out the door. Dad, what happened? My dad and my mom were talking in the living room and raised their heads at the sound. What are kids worrying about? Hurry back to bed. One look at my dad's furrowed brow told me something was up. Liam came out as well. He was a light sleeper and had probably been woken up a long time ago. Seeing the two of us stubbornly standing together, my dad sighed. I received an urgent message from above. Cameron, a group of people were street racing over the long bridge and caused a serious accident. For something to be called serious by my dad, the situation must not be simple. Unfortunately, my dad adamantly refused to reveal more. It was only later that I realized that Cameron and the others had been drinking that night. and they got into a fight and made a bet that they would use street racing to win. Oh, another bet. This time, he finally put his own life at stake. The good thing is that there is no harm to the innocent passers-by. It is this kind of daily death trust fund kid killing each other, crashing into the miserable. Several people died on the spot. Cameron life, but a leg did not save. Amputation. When I visited the hospital, Cameron had already been transferred from the intensive care unit to the general ward. Through the glass, I saw Cameron's heartbreaking wailing, breaking down and crying, and threatening to commit suicide. Mr. Cameron, full of fatigue and anger, raised his hand to slap him, but was stopped dead in his tracks by a sobbing Mrs. Cameron. She always spoiled Cameron. This is our only son. If you want to touch him, you have to kill me first. I almost laughed out loud. Cameron was her only child. But not her husband's only. The bastard was 12 or 13 years old at this point. The man hadn't folded in his last life. Not so much in this one. The sight of Cameron's empty right leg sent me into a trance. Until the end, I didn't go in and quietly left. Going to fake comfort. I couldn't wait for him to die. But it's better to live like this. It's always torture. And I also heard that because Cameron made the street racing bet first that night, the families of those trust fund kids who lost their sons hated him. The Shaw family will not be able to escape the madness of revenge. When the Shaw family has nothing left. When his own father and even his own mother give up on him. I'd like to see if Cameron has the courage to commit suicide. After the start of the school year, Cameron took a break from school. To my surprise, Megan didn't come either. I heard that she went directly to study abroad. I'm so envious. I don't have to face this hellish senior year life. Hearing my classmates talking, I just smiled and organized my books. She did go abroad, but not to study, but to do plastic surgery repair. Although Megan didn't die in the car accident that night, her face was disfigured. At that time, she was sent to the emergency room, and the doctors had to prioritize saving lives, so they didn't care to think about whether the wound would look good after recovery. When she came to her senses and touched her gauze-covered face, she almost lost her breath. She didn't have to go through the hell of her senior year. This was a direct entry into hell. It must have been very painful for the rest of her life. Sophia, what are you smiling about? Another girl bumped the questioner thievishly. Our big academic ace came to the door to pick her up from school, so of course she's happy I looked up. Only to realize that Liam was standing in the doorway. The early spring breeze ruffled his smiling face, swirling the tenderness in his eyes. Hey, do you guys feel that Liam is getting more and more handsome? Compared to him, it feels like the school bully is just that. I told you that falling in love can make people look good. Hey, where is my Prince Charming? I followed their comments and took a closer look at Liam, who was originally as skinny as a bamboo pole, but after eating good food for almost 3 months, his body has been moisturized like bamboo shoots after the rain. Sometimes when he took off his school uniform, he could clearly see his bulging pecs and arm muscles. Most of all, he lifted his perpetually bowed head and faded his brooding, icy demeanor. Still, Sophia's got a good eye. I smiled as I picked up my backpack and ran towards Liam. After 5 years of marriage to Liam, I accidentally discovered his secret. A locked drawer, in an inconspicuous corner. I was very surprised. After all, Liam and I expressed our feelings for each other after the high school entrance exams. Fell in love sweetly in college, graduated and got married until now. Everything was wonderful. Why would Liam still have secrets from me? Suddenly, a very long ago memory hit me. In my last life, after I was picked up by Liam, there was such a locked drawer in his study. Only at that time, I didn't care about it at all, and I didn't think I was qualified to meddle in other people's business at all. I tried to pick the lock. Tried both birthdays, various anniversaries. All of them were wrong. At that moment, my heart cold hard, Liam came home and saw me in the study silently shedding tears. He instantly panicked, threw down a large stack of information in his hands and ran over to hug me. Honey, what's wrong with you? Liam, are you hiding something from me? Do you not love me anymore? Liam was dumbfounded and asked me what made me think that all of a sudden. I pointed to the drawer and questioned him loudly. So tell me, what is this? What are you hiding from me? I was afraid I'd see the panic on Liam's face, see him stammering and trying to hide it. As a result, he snorted in relief. Entering the code, he pulls a diary out of it and hands it to me. Blushing just a little. Read it yourself. Curious. I flip it open and realize it's a little old. October 26. Today is the 16th day Sophia has brought me food. A battered scrambled eggs with rice. I see the band-aid on her finger. Did she cook this for me herself? I know she didn't make the previous ones. Probably the nanny did. Why did she cook for me all of a sudden? Today, October 27th. Sophia brought me scrambled eggs with rice again. Still burnt. I'm a little heartbroken that I have 2 extra band-aids. But I love it because Sophia made it herself. She also looked at me a little nervously. Unlike before when she dropped her lunchbox and left. Does she really care about me? I was so happy to see the familiar scrambled eggs with rice on October 28th. It tastes better than any mountain of food. Because it's got Sophia's love and heart in it. I want to eat her scrambled eggs with rice for the rest of my life. Tears fall onto the paper in drops, instantly staining the stale pen and ink. I closed the journal in a panic, afraid to let it be destroyed again. At this moment, I finally understood it all. Why in his last life, Liam's only request before he died was to have another bite of scrambled eggs with rice. Because what he missed was his young heart and love. Why did Liam get angry when he saw the well-made scrambled eggs with rice after his rebirth? Because he mistakenly thought I didn't cook it myself. After so many years together, Liam has long since stopped obsessing about having scrambled eggs with rice. Because I'm slowly learning how to cook a lot of things, Liam likes to lean in the kitchen doorway and watch me do it. And then come over and help me out. Because he knows that the 17-year-old scrambled eggs with rice, the 17-year-old favorite, has come full circle. No more pining, loving regrets. The password is scrambled eggs with rice's anniversary 1026. Of course you can't crack it. Silly. Liam wiped the tear tracks from my face and leaned down to kiss me. He was no longer the 17-year-old boy with low self-esteem who reached out his hand but was too afraid to actually touch it. I couldn't help but hug him. By the way, how was your recent physical? Nothing's wrong, right? The shadow of his last life, which has never completely dissipated yet. Liam frowns and suddenly picks me up across his arms and heads for the bedroom. I say, wife, why do you always suspect that your man's body can't work? Hey, quickly put me down, I haven't had dinner yet. No, let go. Wife, eat me first. I must check until you are satisfied tonight. I buried my red face into his chest. Let's continue to be happy like this.